Okay, so that should be working. And we're in. Okay. I have no head, so let's fix that problem. It might be better that way. Alright. And hopefully I can multitask my phone and put it on the screen. That's pretty cool. Okay, so for Sean and Deshanda, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So, but Stephen, EJ, Sarah, and Jen, they're here with me live. And if you need something, message them. They have their phones, and let them know you're having trouble or you have some questions, and I'll answer them for you. It's kind of like not talking to you and still talking to you.
I can just leave the YouTube open and keep it on.
I think it'll be okay. It should let me know. They'll let you know too. Okay. No problem. All right. So welcome to Way Beyond Macros. This lesson really is very tight with the last one. In the last lesson, I taught you what elements to eat and what to check. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go through how to actually build a meal given that kind of information. Before we get to that though, I do want to make sure everybody did their online check-in. So, if you did not do your online check-in, meaning you went to the weight loss page and you clicked those 4 variables I need to see, go ahead and do that now. Yes. If you're in the weight loss competition.
You gotta measure yourself.
Yeah. Well, I gave out measuring tape. Did you not get any?
I wasn't here. I must have missed that.
You know what, Jen? Sometimes I'm like that too. I'm like, what did I sign up for?
Of course.
Okay, so on the weight loss page, are you in weight loss competition?
Yeah.
You are?
I just don't want
Go to the weight loss competition page. On the very top, you're gonna see a link that says online check-in. There's 4 variables I need you to put in. Your current weight. We did that last time, right? Everybody put in their charts all the time.
I haven't.
Well, last time we did this competition. Okay, so weigh yourself. We got a scale right over there. See what your weight is. Right. Take the measuring tape. You're gonna put it around your stomach. Get the circumference of your stomach. Okay. Then you're gonna get your resting heart rate. Your resting heart rate. The easiest way to get it is with a Fitbit or any kind of device that connects to your phone. It'll track that. It'll be in your health app. Enter what your resting heart rate is. Your resting heart rate is a really good measure of your current fitness level. Okay? And then the last one is your compliance. For the last week, how compliant were you with what we've been teaching? 5 stars, 3 stars, 1 star, whatever it is. Did everybody find the page? Okay? Is it pretty simple? Enter it every week because honestly, having to report that you didn't lose any weight is going to help motivate you to not slack off so much next week.
Discord link?
Okay. No, it's not on Discord. You need to go to the weight loss competition.
Yeah.
It's on Discord under the weight loss, under check-in. Yeah, the topic is called I think check-in. Check-in is at the bottom.
It's on the bottom or there's a link on top.
Push on.
Good.
He's texting through
Good.
Discord.
Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate the help. All right, so that's how you check in. It makes a big difference. One of the reasons I did well was I was competing with everybody else. I wanted to do as well, and that accountability helps. I'm going to go over, though, what I kind of learned as a coach from the previous one and want you to have access to that. So my total weight loss was 17 pounds, and I gained 1.1 pounds of muscle. I saw with a lot of people, nutrition is an all or nothing thing. Either you're in it all the way or you're not, because your body's really good at keeping stuff the same, okay? Since the weight loss competition, I have lost 0 pounds, gotten nowhere. I was doing great, competition ended, I'm still right where I was in November. So I took my foot off the gas pedal, because I did. Okay, I didn't really eat that badly, but I didn't do everything that I should be doing, right? And we're going to talk about some of those things today. So it is a deliberate effort, otherwise you're just going to stay where you are. Okay, what things did I do right? I had the right food balance, I stayed away from harmful foods, but I think the biggest thing that I didn't do as well as I might have, about 50% of the time, I ate too much food. And I had a lot of sliding back as a result of that. You know, my calories for my TDEE, which we're going to talk about today a little bit, we talked about them a lot before, it's around 2,500 calories. Some days I'd eat like 3,000. You do that, you're not going to lose any weight. You eat 3,000 2 or 3 times a week, you're just going to be treading water, which is what I've been doing for the last 2 months. That makes sense to everybody? What could I have also done better? I didn't think I prepared as well as I could have. I could keep a better diary. And I probably should have created smaller goals, right? I'm thinking I know what my goal wants to be by the end of the weight loss. I want to weigh 165. That's what I want to weigh. But rather than just thinking about 165, you know, to get to 165, I got to get to 175. And I should get there in a certain period of time. I should create these goals so that I create some accountability for time. That makes sense? And then as soon as I say, what's it, January 17th? What else today? 20th? 19th? So by February 19th, I need to be 175. I'm like, whoa, I better get going. Because you know what? How many pounds a week can I lose? 2. Maybe 1.5 for me, right? Okay, that's 6. Yeah, I better eat really good the next month because there's no room in there if I want to hit my goal, right? And when you start to break it down, then you realize, you know what? I really got to get on this. Maybe 1 beer tomorrow if I beat Doug. We'll see. Otherwise, half a beer. What am I going to change versus what I did last time? I'm going to use a shopping list. I gave all you guys a great shopping list. I didn't use it. I'm going to use it this time. I'm going to take my multivitamins every day. I didn't do that. I bought them. I took them sometimes. But if I take them every day, it's going to be better. I'm going to maintain a sleep journal. I didn't get as much sleep as I probably should have, and the journal is really helpful for that. We talked about setting smaller weight loss. I also didn't eat any nuts or seeds, even though I told you you should eat it. It'll be better. I already worked that in. I was very successful in bringing in tea. That helped me a lot. Here are some of the things that I put on my shopping list. You can see what they are. Different kinds of nuts, seeds, lox. These are things that I eat a lot and that I often don't have in the house. So they're going on my Sunday shopping list so I have them. This doesn't need to be your list. You should have a list. Let's talk about, you see?
Oh no, yeah, I can see that, but I was just saying, like, it's because we have the Word document up, what's here isn't what's on here. So that's,
Yeah, I'm
just
sure.
looking, yeah.
What did our leaders do right? When I looked at people who won the competition or did really well, biggest things that they did was the ones who won or did the best had the best tracking. That was consistent amongst everybody. And when they had problems, they made changes, right? They made sure they set goals, and when they weren't able to do them or their goals weren't working, they adjusted their goals or how they were tracking it so they could track it. And that was a really key piece, I think, for people being successful. The other thing that everybody did together, but other people, was everybody else increased their total calories from aerobic exercise, which is a great way to lose weight. Whether that's getting an extra steps in, or biking, or whatever it might be, that's a great way to do that. I had already been kind of spending as much time as I had, and I didn't want to spend any more, so I didn't do that. But probably would do it. I think people might have done better. And one reason we put these chats in, that was from user support and stuff like that. A lot of people together as much as they could have, and that's a very helpful thing. It's hard to lose weight, and it's easy to make mistakes, so that's why we have the chats. Come to the chats, get feedback, work together, get support with different ideas that you're working through. Different people's ideas help me, and so I'm hoping we're going to do better at sharing information and working together on that. All right, so that was my 2022 weight loss recap. But today's about macros, so let's talk about macros. Top question, do macros really matter? Yes. They are the building blocks of both Nutrition Labs diet as well as CrossFit's diet, the Sears diet, Zone diet. Both, they matter. You need to track them. Are they all that matters? No. Other things matter too. Things that we've talked about, whether the food's organic, whether it has a high Andy index, whether it fits the 5 elements rule, all these things. Hitting your macros is, I would tell you, it's baseline. Baseline suggests that it's good enough. It's not. Okay? You gotta do better than your macros, because if you just hit your macros, you lower your calories, you can still tank your metabolism. So macros are really important, but they're not the only thing that counts, right? We're talking a lot about macros today. Some people have even hashtags like if it fits my macros. You heard that one? It doesn't work. It's really important. You do need to hit your macros, but it's not the only thing that counts. Okay? As you'll see, macros don't look at the kinds of foods we're eating. They don't look at the 5 elements and different types of stuff like that. All right. So, macronutrient calculator. I have a link for a custom macronutrient calculator. I believe I put it into the materials folder. Everybody able to see? If not,
When we click on it, it doesn't do anything. When he and I tried it, it doesn't.
all right. Well, let's make sure we get it to work. Here's what it's going to look like. I will share, maybe, share. Discord. I gotta go to Nutrition Lab. Let's put in the right one. Nutrition Lab. There you go. That's the link of what I'm looking at. Okay, so now that we're back here, you'll see that there are 2 main pages on this sheet. two main pages on it. One says InBody, one says no InBody. Everybody see that on the screen? You can use the InBody to like remove some of the assumptions in the formula. Because the InBody will give you a direct metabolic rate, right? You need that number. If you use the no InBody, then you gotta use the formulas to kind of calculate that. So if I want to know what my diet should be, I'm going to put in my basal metabolic rates. That's on your InBody. So let's say mine is 1725, which is what you see written here. Then I have to just adjust the activity level to number of sessions per week, right? That will then give me my TDEE as an estimate, okay? From there, you can see your weight loss targets. If you want to lose 2 pounds a week, you're looking to be around 40% under your TDEE. If it's more like 1 pound a week, it's 20%. Okay? Then you can see below that, I actually gave you a breakdown of what your macros should be, okay, at the different levels. So you have your maintenance, you have your weight loss, 40%, your weight loss, 20%. Okay? In lesson, I want to say it was either 2 or 4, we went through a very detailed analysis for determining TDEE. That analysis is better than this quick chart, because that one calculates actual work and things like that, right? This one assumes all workouts are the same, doesn't take into account if you're walking all day and all different things. It's a rough approximation, but for a lot of people it'll be accurate. Any questions on how to use this chart? No?
So you would use your basal metabolic rate and not add the 400 to 600 calories?
So to lose weight, you need to be less than your total daily energy expenditure. Okay? This sheet calculates your total daily energy expenditure and then suggests 40% to 20% as model numbers to be under your total daily energy expenditure. Once you have your calories, then you can determine your macros, and the sheet gives them to you. I'm going to explain how the calculations work in a minute, but I know that if I want to lose 2 pounds a week, right, let's say this is my metabolic rate, mine's a little higher than that, but I would need to eat 160 grams of carbs, 120 grams of protein, 53 grams of fat every day.
If it's 40% and 20%, what is that rate?
Of your total daily energy expenditure.
Okay.
It's a 40% reduction, not 40% up. Now that sounds like a lot. Let me give you some context, okay? I want to lose 1 pound a week, right? How many calories per day do I need to be under?
500?
Yes, 500, okay? What is 10% of 2,500?
Oh, so that's
25.
You can do this one.
250.
250, right? That's not enough, right? I need 500. Steve just said 500. It needs to be how much of that? Twice, right? Twice as much?
1,000, yeah.
Twice. You're getting ahead of me. We're going slow. You said 250 originally, right? 10%. I just told you, right, I want to have you lose 4 pounds, right? I got to multiply that by 4. 250 times 4 is 1,000. 40%. Now, the formula will start to get a little warped towards the edges if you're a very, very small person or a very big person, right? You may have to make some adjustments. This is a rough calculation, unlike the detailed one that we did. But for most people, it will fit. Any other questions? Everybody know how to use this chart to check in on what their macros are? Okay. If you know your target calories and you don't want to use this chart, you don't need to. I'm going to teach you how to calculate your macros directly if you don't want to use this chart. going to do that right now. That's next.
Like the macros chart? Is that that pink thing? The blue?
Yeah. Okay. So there are those numbers again. I just 500 to 1,000 for weight loss. Muscle gain is the opposite. Macronutrients and calories. There are 3 macronutrients. Okay, carbs, fats, and protein. You need 40% by carbohydrate, 30% by fat, 30% by protein. The formula to calculate carbs, you take your total calories, you multiply it by 4, you divide by, you multiply by 0.4, and you divide by 4. That will give you total grams. Can I zoom here? That will give, that better? There we go. That will give you your total grams carbs. Fat, you take your total calories, multiply by 0.3, divide by 9 to get your fat. And then for protein, take your total calories, multiply by 0.3, divide by 4. Everybody got that? Good. Go ahead and do it and tell me what your numbers are.
I just did it.
Okay, what are your numbers?
Protein, 104. Fat was.
You have to know your TDE to do this, correct? So if I don't know mine offhand, I can't.
You can do it, you can just use a model TDE, right, to do it. Why don't you use 2,000 calories as your TDE just so you can understand how to use this formula.
Mine was 46 grams of fat, 104 grams of protein, and 139 grams of carbs.
Okay, that sounds right.
But 20 grams of what? Wait, 2,000? That'd be too much.
I know my TDE, that's why. I was able to put it into the calculator.
200.
Oh, you put it in there? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I made a copy.
Good. Sarah's like, I'm just going to use the chart that Paul made. That's perfectly good.
200.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're thinking about, that gives you grams, right? How much grams you have, right? The percentages, right, are calories. If you want to know it in grams, that's the one below. It's 48% by grams for carbs, 36% by grams for protein, 18% by grams for fats. Below that, I list out the main functions of each one of these nutrients. The reason I don't like keto diets and other diets that don't have one of the macros is you need all 3 of these things to be healthy. Okay? Keto tells you to take away all carbs. When you do that, you're not going to get your micronutrients in. Micronutrients do all sorts of things, from everything from energy production to respiration. And so when you're missing that, you're missing most of your micronutrients. Fats are involved in cellular repair as well as absorption. Proteins do a tremendous number of things. You can see the whole big list there. So you need all 3, and you need them in balance. All right. So this next chart is probably the most important chart we're going to do today. It breaks out what are the different types of subcomponents of each one. So when you're thinking about carbs, there's really 6 carbs. There's alcohol, sugar alcohol, artificial sugars, fibers, and starch.
You send us that?
No.
Okay.
Okay? Those are your 6 kinds. As you'll see, we really only want to eat the starch and the fiber. All the other ones we really don't want to eat too much of, if at all. There are 5 kinds of fats. We're going to go over all those. We covered them a little bit the other day. So what I'm going to do is have everyone explain it to me, because we did cover trans fats and all that, so I expect you all know these answers. And then the different kinds of protein. You can see that there's animal protein and plant protein are your main 2 kinds. Okay? Within your trans fats, what are your sources of trans fats? Without looking at the monitor, I can just scroll up. No.
The
Crisco is one of those.
Shortening.
Shortening, yeah, what else?
Lard.
Lard is not trans fat. Lard comes from pig.
I don't know what specifically in it, but I remember when we were a big thing in the news years ago, everybody was freaking out about Oreos.
Oreos are trans fats.
Yeah.
Oreo fillings.
They have trans fats. So it's hydrogenated oils. Okay?
Hydrogenated, that's what
Hydrogenated
it is,
oils
it's
have them. You need to know this because if you're not aware of this, you look at the label, you'll read right past it. Okay? No trans fats. What about industrial fats? Which are the ones we want to avoid?
Canola oils, those
Soybean.
kinds of things.
Soybean oil, yeah. Cottonseed oil, kernel oil. Corn oil is different.
But what is kernel then? Because otherwise I don't know what it is.
It's going to be an ingredient on your label.
Oh, that's a specific.
Yeah, that'll say
It don't
kernel
be like
oil.
a kernel of corn. You mean
No. Okay? Palm oil is another one. Okay? EJ, where do saturated fats come from?
From the animals.
Which animals? How much saturated fat are you allowed to eat?
Oh, I remember this one.
Look at my notes.
2 grams to 1. 2 grams. 2 grams. Has to be 2 grams of. Oh, it's that. Never mind. The ratio.
No more. Yes. No more than 30% of your total fat should come from saturated sources. Okay. Well, we know that. Now we need to know, well, what are we looking for saturated sources? What are our saturated sources?
Bacon fat.
Bacon is a saturated fat. That's a very explicit one. We'd make a very long list if we lined up everyone like that. Okay, it's mammals and poultry. Those are your only sources.
Mammals.
Poultry. Okay? Yes, first. Okay? Mammals and poultry. I said that twice on Sunday. Okay? Saturated sources are high in toxins. So what do we want to do when we're eating saturated fat? What kind of choices do we want to make when we're eating saturated fat?
Organic.
Right. Okay. Jen, does this rule apply to fish? No, didn't you ask me that question? You did. See, we did talk. That's right. Doesn't apply because fish are not poultry or mammals. All right. Monounsaturated sources. Stephen, what are the sources of monounsaturated fats?
Nuts,
Yes.
olives,
Yes.
seeds, that kind of stuff.
What else?
Beans.
Nope. EJ. Jen got avocado. Those are your only sources. Polyunsaturated fats. What are our sources?
Omega 3, 6, and 9.
Omega 3, 6, and 9 are polyunsaturated fat, but they're not sources unless you're buying a supplement.
Fish.
Fish, yeah, oily fish. Ocean plants. Nothing seeds. This is stuff you need to commit to memory because I don't believe you're going to take your notes to the supermarket.
No, I'm gonna take my phone with me in there.
I'll take my notes The supermarket.
Nuts, seeds. So I'm telling you, you must have polyunsaturated fats in your diet. You must have some that are omega-3. So you must have nuts, seeds, and things from the ocean in your diet.
I'm allergic to things from the ocean.
Okay? Then you gotta eat nuts and seeds. And if you're allergic to nuts and seeds, then you need to go to a supplement. And if you can't use them, you need to see a dietitian, because you're likely to have serious health problems if they don't correct it. And then you're in a situation where you're dealing with allergies versus all the coronary problems you're gonna have.
Oh, okay.
So find some, and if you can't, you need to get help from a number of different specialists if you're in that situation of being allergic to everything. Hopefully that's not the case. All right. Let's go on to a little more detail about our carbs. So what about alcohol? Okay. The least bad ones are the top row. Okay. Your red wine, your straight spirits, and your light beer. Those are the least bad ones. Okay? Your sweet wines, your cordials, and then your craft beers are worse.
What about non-alcoholic beer? Is that considered a light beer? It
Not-
still has like 0.5% or 5% alcohol in it, but
Well, it's still carbs.
okay.
It's less carbs. Non-alcoholic beer has like 45 calories in it, so it's less.
Okay.
I would put that on top of the light beer.
Okay.
I don't know who drinks non-alcoholic beer.
Actually, I swear, there's a brand that's actually not too bad.
No, it tastes fine. I just can't get myself to drink non-alcoholic beer.
What would like Mike's Hard Lemonade be considered? Cider?
Yeah, it's more like cider. It's, think of it like a craft beer.
Okay.
It's also usually sweetened. Remember that alcohol manufacturers do not need to list any sugar in their product. There is no requirement for them to tell you calories or sugar. All right.
I had a lot of angry workers.
Been getting this question over and over in nutrition lab. So here's your answer. Okay. Here's your sugar alcohols. Okay. And here's a bunch of detail about the different ones. Okay. So your choices are: you can memorize all this information, or you can remember that the only sugar alcohol you should be using is erythritol and xylitol. But these are the most 4 common in our area.
You covered this in one of the past ones.
Covered several times.
Okay, that's
Still getting questions about it.
yeah. Well, it's a lot for you.
Okay? The erythritol and xylitol are your best sugar alcohols. So check your protein bars and any other sweetened foods. See what the sweetener is.
I heard they changed what they're calling xylitol. They're calling it like birch sugar on the label. So
Could be. I haven't heard anything about
I would look out for birch sugar.
Is that what powders are sweetened with? Protein powders?
it. No, they're going to be sweetened with one of these things, an artificial sugar. Okay? I got your list right here of your artificial sugars. Monk fruit, stevia, saccharin are your top choices for artificial sweeteners. And then you have your ones on the left. Actually, sucralose and saccharin probably should be switched.
You're saying those are the okay ones?
Yeah,
What
monk
are the
fruit,
better?
stevia, and sucralose are going to be your best choices for sweeteners.
What's the
Okay. Sugars come in a lot of forms. I listed a couple of them here: molasses, dates, maple syrup, corn syrup, agave nectar, cane sugar, honey. There's no benefit to eating any of them. It does not matter if they're natural or not. For some reason people get hung up on the honey's a natural food. So is bacon. Nobody thinks it's good for you. Some information about table sugar and how much it really has. Okay? A lot of people think we're going to talk about glycemic index and load soon. It's not 100. White bread is 100. Makes it worse than sugar. Yep. 65 is your glycemic index and load for table sugar. There's 4 grams in a teaspoon. How many grams of sugar are you allowed to have per day? EJ. Steven.
it was 30 or 35.
35, right? So you can think about how many grams you can have. There's 4 grams in a teaspoon. That's gonna go pretty quick.
That's it. I use a teaspoon of my coffee every morning.
That's like 9 teaspoons.
9 teaspoons, that's it. And that doesn't include the natural sugar that's in your other starches that you have to add to it. So, be very careful with using it. Okay? We talked about 2 kinds of fiber. Eat as much fiber as you can. It should be at least as high as your sugar. Okay. When thinking about the carbs we're going to eat, you have your high glycemic, your medium glycemic, and your low glycemic starches. Low glycemic starches is really what you want to target. Those foods that have a low glycemic load or a low glycemic index are going to be the better choices. We talked about our fats. That we covered. Talked about our fat balance. That was what we covered last time. Less than 30% by saturated sources. Omega-3 to omega-6, at least a 1:2 ratio. Covered all our sources. Yeah, we got all this. Good. Okay. With proteins, we covered this as well. Make sure you're getting all your essential amino acids. Nobody does that, which is why I tell you make sure you rotate your proteins. You'd be surprised how many nutrition journals I've seen where the only protein somebody's eating was chicken. Eat different ones. There's all sorts of reasons you shouldn't eat the same ones every day. Okay, what about sodium? I get a lot of questions about sodium. I haven't really talked about it other than for the purpose of hyponatremia, which is what, EJ?
No, I can't remember.
Hyponatremia? Is that
Water?
that's
Not enough
dehydration,
sugar.
right?
Not enough sugar. Too much sugar.
Nope.
It's water, really.
Well, first you need to know the difference between hypo and hyper.
Hypo
Hypo means under.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So not enough salt. Okay. So you need enough salt for athletic purposes, right? We talked about that with the sports performance, right? In a lot of detail, how much salt. We covered that for like an hour. Okay. So you need enough salt to support your athletic activity based on sweat. However, what about salt for the purpose of weight loss, right? Salt is not good. There's been lots of studies that show people eat more food when there's more salt in it. People crave more food as well. It leads to overeating. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm not telling you not to eat salt. You need some salt in your diet. How much salt depends on how much salt you're using when you're sweating based on temperature and activity. Okay? If you use it on foods that you really like, you'll probably eat more of them. That might be good for foods you don't like as much. I put it on vegetables because I don't like the vegetables as much, so I put them on there. So just keep in mind that you'll likely overeat when you add salt to foods. All right, that's the end of my little PDF here. Okay, a lot of that was a review. It's going to get more challenging from here. I know that was a review, but we're going to actually figure out how to use that information to build a meal. Before I get to that, I gave a little cheat sheet because one of the things I don't see in enough people's diets are the right nuts, seeds, and beans. here they are. I looked at them all. These are the ones you want in your diet. I wouldn't say it's an exclusive list, but these ones are really good for various reasons. Okay, for nuts, you got pistachios, almonds, walnuts, and pecans. Those are kind of your best nuts. Cashews are pretty good too. Seeds, flaxseed, chia seed, pumpkin seed. Those are really the only three that you need. You'll see lots of information about other ones like apricot seeds and all this other stuff. I don't think you really need any more than these three.
What would you do? You have flax and chia seeds on its own, or?
I like to mix chia into smoothies and fries or on salads.
Stuff like that. I usually put it in oatmeal,
Yeah,
stuff like
salad,
that.
oatmeal, stuff like that.
It doesn't taste so good on its own. Pumpkin seed you eat by itself as a snack.
Doritos back on me.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't.
And then beans, I give you 4 kinds of beans that are good. Lupini beans are good for snacking. So are edamame. I got the list.
Nope. What's the other one?
Azuki beans. They're like red beans. Just a little bit more protein, a little higher fiber. You can find them in all your supermarkets if you know you look for them. All right. Here we go. We're going to determine a meal using the 5 elements rule and our macronutrients. So we're going to start with an 1800 calorie target of how much food we're going to eat, right? So once you know it's 1800, then you got to break it into your meals, right? What does your meals want to look like? It doesn't matter, but you should have a plan and keep it consistent. There's an exception that you can't have too much starch at one time. Okay, there's a limit to how much you can have. It's around 35 grams of starch at any given time. So think about your target calories, and now I want you to break your target calories into meals and snacks if you want them. It should average out to your total.
So having pizza will pretty much ruin your limit of 35 carbs.
You can't have pizza. You can have cauliflower fake pizza. One piece of pizza will put you over the number easily. It's at least 50 grams of carbs in pizza, plus the sugar and the sauce. Go ahead and do it.
How to make your targets for your meals.
Everybody got their numbers? Okay, Sarah, what are your numbers?
Still working on them.
Still working on them. What are your numbers, John?
I don't even know. I don't process information this way. I don't.
Okay, let me break it down. Okay, this person needs to eat 1800 calories a day to lose their target. Okay, so they need to divide those calories amongst different meals to get to 1800. It could be any combination. Okay, so I did 400 calories for breakfast, 500 for lunch, a snack for 200, dinner at 6, and a snack for 1 after dinner. Could dinner be 400 and breakfast be 600? Sure. Mix these however you want to mix them up. But for the purpose of teaching you how to apply the 5 elements rule with serving sizes, you need to make a decision as to how many calories are going to be in each of your meals. What do you got for me, Stephen?
Roughly, give or take, like 500 for breakfast, 600 for lunch, 800 for dinner, and 200 for snacks.
Okay, so 2,100 calories.
But two times 200 for snacks.
Okay.
So 20.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and I've been tracking very closely for a few weeks, and that's pretty much
Okay.
my
What about
target.
you, Sarah?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I think we're all on the same.
All right. Listen up. Listen. Okay? Calories for the day are really important. Okay? You need to hit your calories. If you go over your calories, you're not going to lose weight. Okay? So when you think about, okay, did I go over my calories? How do I go over my calories? My meals are too big. Okay? Each one of your meals should be a certain size, certain number of calories. Right? That's what we're doing. We're making a decision how many calories each meal is going to get. And then if you want some snacks in there, you got to put them in too.
See, I can tell you what my calorie breakdown for today was. So breakfast was 400, lunch was 400, and then dinner was about 550, and then a snack was 180.
Okay, so those are fine. That's a good example.
Yeah, I don't go into it. I eat what I love for breakfast, and then I start thinking, and then I use this to calculate how much I think is enough for lunch and dinner is. And then I use that to shuffle the rest of the day, figuring out, okay,
It's
if
the
I
same
use
thing.
this, then I can. But I don't restrict myself to certain amounts per meal. It's like whatever I feel like as I go down, and then that's what I do.
Well, for most people, the whatever I feel like diet doesn't give them great results. Some people it will work for.
I stick to the fundamental rules as close as I can. I don't always get the nuts and seeds.
But your numbers are fine.
Okay.
EJ, what you got for me?
So for breakfast, and this is based on 1995.
I would just do 2,000, but okay.
Well, going off of Fitness Pal with the number.
Okay.
So it has 527 for breakfast, 526 for lunch, 766 for dinner, and then 176 for snack.
Okay. I would round those to at least the nearest 25 because you can't measure anything really under 100 calories because we don't have, you just can't measure it. So I wouldn't worry about single calories so much. But yeah, that sounds fine. You getting the idea, Sarah?
Yeah, I got 300 calories for breakfast, 500 for lunch, 200 for the first snack, 600 for dinner, and 200 for the second snack.
Okay, good. All right, that's step one. So we know that each meal has to have 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat, right? So if I want to look at my macros for breakfast, right, I take my 400 calories and I multiply by 0.4, divide by 4. I got 40 grams of carbs for breakfast, 30 grams of carbs for 30 grams of protein for breakfast, and 13 grams of fat for breakfast. Everybody see how I did that?
Can you repeat that?
So just what you see on the screen, okay? I'm calculating the macros for breakfast, okay? I use the formula we already went over. So carbs is 40% divided by 4. Fat is 30% divided by 9. Protein is 30% divided by 4. That yields the macros I need. Okay. You with me, EJ? Now we gotta get to servings, and here's how you do it. Start with the breakfast you want to eat. In my example here, we're gonna think about our 5 elements rule. I'm gonna do some oatmeal. Oatmeal is which element, EJ?
I haven't been able to look at that, or
No.
No.
That's the low impact starch.
Starch. Thank you, Stephen. It's okay. The reason I ask questions, a Socratic method of teaching, it shows you what you know and what you think you know. Okay? What about the blueberries? Sour, what elements?
I wasn't here for that lesson.
What are the 5 elements, Jen? Tell her.
Fruits, vegetables, starch, fats, and
Protein.
Fruits, vegetables, yeah. Protein.
Okay? So blueberries are fruits. Okay, what about lox, Stephen?
Protein
That's half right.
and fat.
And that's the full answer. Good. And then super greens. EJ, which one's that?
would be your carbs.
No.
What was it?
Vegetable.
Vegetable.
Wait, what was it?
Super greens.
I don't even know what it is.
Super greens are powdered grass.
Oh.
Spinach.
Okay? Hey, this is my breakfast. I don't care. Eat what you want. Okay? So this is, on my first take, I got my 5 elements, right? I'm good. Let's move on to the next step. Well, that's what I'm doing here. Protein, check. Lox is a protein. Starch, oatmeal is a starch. It's also a protein because it has some protein in it, so we gotta think about that. Lox is a fat. We have our blueberries of fruits, and we got our vegetable super greens. Next, we gotta determine serving sizes. Okay? So, how much protein does this person need for breakfast? We just said it was 30 grams. Okay? There's about 16 grams of protein in lox. So we need about 2 servings of lox, not including, or we need about 1.5 servings because of the protein that's in oatmeal. So 16 plus 8 plus 5 gives me 30. Does everybody see that? Because if you look at the next line, 28 grams of carbs and 5 grams of protein. So I'm getting 16 from the 1 serving, 8 from the half a serving, and then the 5 gets me to the protein. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, what about starch or carbs, right? I need 40 grams of carbs. Well, I get 28 from the oatmeal, and then the blueberries are worth about 11 grams. So that's 40 right there. We're good to go. Maybe 3 for the super greens. Obviously, it will vary depending on what kind of super greens you're doing. Some are higher, some are lower. That was my protein. What about my fat? Well, the only fat that's in the diet is, or for breakfast, is the lox, and it's 3.7. Well, that gives me like 5 something. We're short on fat. Does everybody see that?
Can't you just make it up in another meal? Like,
No, you can't. No. You cannot make up your macros in another meal. It's missed in the meal. It's missed. It's.
Missed.
Nor can you make it up in the week from a day.
macros by day.
I'm telling you, every meal needs to be balanced. Every snack needs to be balanced. Now, what if you're just partially compliant? You'll get partial results.
I've been doing the same thing.
I don't know how to. I can't.
yeah.
I don't think I can
Well, you just gotta get used to it.
eat everything.
Right? Okay, that meal I put together, for some of you, I don't think was all that complicated, like some fruit and oatmeal and some lox. Okay, that's not all that, and some super greens, right? But I need to know, hey, you know what? Lox doesn't have that much fat. I gotta add some fat someplace. Well, where can I add it in? Well, put some butter in the oatmeal. Right? Well, that may be what I might do in reality, but when I'm being good, I might do flaxseed oil and add that in to get to the amount.
So, to elaborate on what you were saying, because I did the same thing. Like yesterday, I planned ahead. I knew I was going to have a higher carb dinner, so I saved carbs in my breakfast and lunch. And at the end of the day, I ended up close to exactly on my macro targets.
I mean, you can balance your macros in a month too. Do you think that's going to work? Now you want to know why it doesn't work. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm driving at. Yeah.
Why doesn't it work? Well, let me see if we can get to that by the Socratic method. Okay? Why don't you think it works? Let's start with
I
some
would-
extreme examples. That sometimes helps. What if we leave all our carbs for dinner? What happens?
Oh, that's a confusion spice.
Jen knows the answer to that right away. So if you just don't balance your carbs throughout the day, you leave them all for dinner, right? You're going to send your insulin levels through the roof right before you go to sleep. How's that going to be for your weight loss, Steven?
Terrible.
Terrible. That's right. Terrible for sleep
Yeah.
too, right? Which is another major thing you need to do. So that's why we can't do it with starch.
And I'm guessing like also your body needs to be kind of in balance at all
Well,
times.
we'll go through it slow so you believe me, we need to do it. Okay, Jen, if I try to absorb all the vitamins and minerals I need for the entire day in one shot,
It just,
all the vitamins, all the micronutrients, I'm gonna just eat them all at once. Do you think my body can absorb them all at once?
no.
No.
I'm not talking about like that extreme of a
Okay, can I do it twice?
load, but say like.
Can I get everything I need in just 2 meals? If I eat it all at once, half and half.
A lot better than you can eat it in all
Maybe in theory.
Better than once, yes. Right? But not as good as 3 or 4. Okay? Protein, your body is better at handling a dispersal for, I would say, than the other two. You won't get your micronutrients, right? But the other thing that you're gonna have trouble with is, we talked about your fats, right? Your ability to absorb fats is also limited by time. So you have to balance your fats out as well. And it comes basically to an absorption and glycemic load. So that's why you should balance it all. Okay? What happens if you don't? You're in as less of efficient that day. That's what happens. Okay? Okay. If we've done everything correctly, our target calories should be, we should get the macros to come out to 400 calories, right? Because that was what we wanted for breakfast. Lox has about 100 calories for 3 ounces. We have 1.5 ounces, so it's 150 calories. Half a cup of dry oatmeal is 140 calories. Half a tablespoon of flax is 60 calories. Half a cup of blueberries is 42. Super greens is 9. And lo and behold, balance is 401. It's Latin for meaning it has been proven. Okay? If you balance your macros, your calories will work out every time.
I don't know about that.
Yes, every time.
Well, yeah, because the formula.
The formula forces
the same,
it.
yeah.
Yes. You accountants?
No.
Okay, you're doing pretty good. Yes. Yes, it has to balance. Right? If your macros balance for your meal will have the right amount of calories.
Credit and debit.
I don't think about my calories in my meal. I know my macros for my meals. I make sure I hit my macros. And that's where the expression, if it hits your macros, comes from. Your calories will balance. I said, could we tweak this a little bit and make it a little bit better? I said, yeah, we could reduce our oatmeal a little bit and have a little bit more berries that probably have a higher Andy index. Jen wants to dump the flaxseed oil and add butter, whatever way you want to go, but make sure your macros balance. Because if they don't, your calories are going to be off. All right, this chart I know is in there. This chart is your ALA, DHA, EPA chart. And I'm gonna just go over it with you so you know what's in it. Okay? ALA, DHA, and EPA are your main omega-3 fats that you need. Okay? So you wanna make sure the foods that you're buying have these in them, right? So for example, we have fortified eggs, right? And they have 0.5 grams of ALA, which is a lot. So
Wait, what did you say?
45
We're on
days.
eggs over here.
The second.
Right
Okay.
here. Okay? I need you to get your 2 to 4 grams of omega-3.
Eat a lot of eggs.
Okay? There's a lot of choices. Okay? You got your oils listed back there. I've been telling you about flax oil. Look how good flax oil is. Flax oil is kicking all the other oils' asses when it comes to omega-3. It's also really inexpensive. You can't cook with it though. It has a smoke point of like 150 degrees or something. Okay? But it makes it great for dressing. You can add it to lots of stuff. It's anti-inflammatory. It's really good.
Wait, these are all the omegas or 3, 6, and 9 or just?
You need 3.
Okay, these are just for 3?
Well, actually what we're looking at is ALA and EPA and DHA.
Okay.
EPA and DHA are always almost found in combination. So you need some ALA and some EPA.
Okay.
Okay? EPA and DHA come mostly from fish. And then ALA is going to come from the plants and from nuts and seeds. Okay? If you like anchovies, they're a really good source of EPA and DHA. If you have a better budget, caviar is also one of the best sources for that. But so are things like roe and other types of fish eggs. Which other ones? Crab is a good source. Herring is one of the highest fish that there is. I don't really like herring, so I don't eat it. But you can do salmon and tuna. Oysters are good choices.
Unless you're me and you'll die.
Alex was asking me about tilapia the other day. Tilapia is not a good source of EPA, DHA, or ALA. It's low. Why is it low? It doesn't have any fat. So it's not going to have any of that. It's not terrible, but it could be better. Okay? Below that I got your nuts and your seeds. Almonds, chia seeds, flax seeds, pecans, soy nuts,
I eat flaxseed.
walnuts. Yeah, walnuts are good. And then edamame, radish seeds. I don't know. I never had radish seeds before.
Never heard of that.
Winter
there,
squash yogurts.
Was there an entry in the list for like tuna steaks? Is that different than canned tuna?
Yeah, regular tuna fish.
Yeah.
Tuna.
I see canned. I see canned. I didn't see regular.
3 and 6.
It's probably just missing.
Okay.
It's very similar to salmon.
Wild salmon.
Yeah, it's gonna be similar.
similar to-
Around 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
It also depends on whether it's wild caught or farm raised and actually which cut of the salmon you get too. All right, questions. That was a lot.
Eggs, is that the omega-3 coming from the yolk, I'm assuming? That's when most of the nutrients are in the egg.
Omega-3 in eggs usually comes if they're fortified with omega-3. The natural only contains a little bit.
At the yolk. Okay, so because I eat 1 egg and then egg white.
Hold on.
That's not.
So, eggs, regular eggs are not a good source of omega-3.
Correct, but they have some.
They have more omega-6,
Okay.
which is not on this chart. So eating eggs is not going to be good for getting good fat. And they're also too high in saturated fat. But it depends on how much other omega-3 sources you have. If you eat a lot.
Whole egg though. That's what I'm saying. Because I'll eat 1 whole egg, and then I'll add egg whites for.
That's a good source for other nutrients and for protein.
Okay.
But I wouldn't think of going to eggs, especially if not fortified, to help me with my omega-3 and my fat.
Okay.
It's going to get you the wrong way.
Well, I'm also thinking if you're trying to avoid ruining like the balance, if I can figure out what portion of the egg, since I separate mine out.
It's going to be yolks. Yolks
yolks
have,
have most of
yeah.
it, okay.
They have all the fat. There's no fat in the white.
Okay.
Other questions? EJ? So, kind of pulling it all together. You should figure out the macros for your meals. Okay? I think you can get that for free with MyFitnessPal extra expensive edition. I think it might tell you. If not, just use a formula that we went over today. Okay, that's how I do it. And then make sure your meal has the right macros in it. If it does, it'll have the right amount of calories in it. Check your meal to make sure it hits the 5 elements. That's it. Now you know how to build meals to your serving size without using blocks, without doing a fist of protein and a scoop of vegetables and 2 fingers of fat and all this other stuff that they do, right? You just do it by the numbers and you're good to go. Just make sure you don't eat 4 servings of salmon when you think it's 1. That's really the piece that you have to be careful. So you gotta weigh your food with this methodology. Let's talk about tricks for doing that. You eating nuts right now? DJ? How do you eat them?
Quarter of a cup.
You measure it out with a... What about you, Jen?
Do I eat nuts right now?
Yeah.
Barely. When I go into work, I'll measure out whatever the serving size it says, I'll measure that out. I'll put a little container, and then when I get hungry, then I'll eat that. But I'm terrible at it.
What do I do with that? I buy little containers that have a screw top, and I put them in, and I measure them out for the day, and those are my nuts for the day. Okay? That's one of the easiest ways to do it. You can measure them too, but sometimes I'll go back in and get another scoop, and that won't work for me. DJ's method. Another trick that I did, which was very helpful, was some microwave bowls from a company called Sistena. You can microwave vegetables, oatmeal, and they don't explode, which is really nice. They have these new ones with steam vents. They're very helpful if you're trying to get your vegetables in. You can microwave a lot of stuff if you're trying to eat better, but then it makes a mess in the microwave. These microwave safe containers have a steam vent and they don't explode. That makes your life much easier.
What about, like, Daily Harvest is supposed to advertise, like, healthy vegetables and stuff like that. What about something like that?
I haven't looked at Daily Harvest in a long time. I feel like it was some kind of shake company when I looked at it.
They have shakes, they have bowls that you can saute a bunch of vegetables or whatever vegetables they give you. Make shakes out of them. I don't know. They have a couple different.
We have a lesson coming up which goes through all the different meal delivery companies that I've ever had anybody ever ask me to look at. It's like 40 of them, something like that. And I'm gonna go through and check everything to give you, like, you should get this one if you're this kind of person type thing. I've used most of them. Daily Harvest, if I remember, when I used it, they made these, you got like these shakes that they would make. But I didn't really like them because it violates the fruit rule about blending fruit. And I don't
I don't eat it, but I love it.
So you don't really want your fruit blended, but they weren't really advertising weight loss. You know, the shake people.
What does it matter if you blend it if you're same thing as if you should, right?
Why is the glycemic load higher?
Yeah,
Because they've measured it.
but you chew it up, right? And it's the same thing as if you smash it up in a blender, you smash it up in your mouth.
We know empirically that when we measure something like orange juice versus an orange, we know the glycemic index and the load is much higher.
That's because you're kind of taking it without the fiber, but if you put the
Even
whole
if
thing
it's
in it,
even if it's a bulked version, we know that it's higher. It's been measured. Why is it? Because you can get to the sugar faster. It takes less time to digest.
okay.
A lot of that kind of stuff, you know, I talked about bread, right? If you freeze the bread and then toast it, it goes down. It may not necessarily be intuitive, but they've measured it and they found that that's what happens.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it if it makes sense. We know that it does happen.
It's a good thing all my bread winds up in the freezer because I can't eat it fast enough, so
Any other questions?
I'll sit there.
All right. Any questions from Sean on Discord?
I did not see anything.
I didn't see any messages either. All right. Well, we'll conclude for today. I wish everybody luck tomorrow in the Iron Star games if you're going to be doing that.